I never thought much about the storage unit facility where I worked nights. It was just a job, quiet, easy, and perfect for a college student. 3 nights a week, I'd sit at the front desk from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., studying between occasional patrols. The place had good security, cameras, coded gates, the works, but management still wanted someone on site overnight. Most nights, nobody came in at all. We weren't supposed to let anyone access their units after hours, but sometimes regulars would show up, and I'd make exceptions. Like this middle-aged guy, Mr. Kastner. He'd come by around midnight once a month, always polite, always in a hurry. Said he worked weird hours and needed to drop off inventory for his online business. On this particular night, February 17th, it was unusually cold, and I was half asleep at the desk when Mr. Kastner pulled up at 12:40 a.m. I buzzed him in, barely looking up from my textbook as he nodded his thanks. Something seemed off, but I couldn't place what. Maybe it was that he didn't have his usual cart with him, just a large duffel bag. About 20 minutes later, I realized he hadn't come back out. Most people spent 5-10 minutes tops at their units. Company policy said I should check if someone stayed longer than 15 minutes, but I'd never enforced it before. I sighed, grabbed my flashlight, and headed to Unit 342. The hallways were always eerie at night, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, rows of identical metal doors. As I approached his unit, I noticed the padlock was hanging open, but the door was pulled down. "Mr. Kastner," I called out, "everything okay in there?" No response. I hesitated, then lifted the door about a foot off the ground and shined my light inside. The unit was meticulously organized with plastic storage tubs, all labeled by date. Nothing unusual except there was a tub open in the center with what looked like clothing inside. "Mr. Kastner," I called again, louder. I heard a shuffle from the back of the unit, then his voice. "I'll be right out." "Sorry." Something in his tone made my skin crawl. I lowered the door and waited outside, suddenly uncomfortable. When he emerged a minute later, he seemed surprised to see me. "Just checking if you needed anything," I said lamely. No, all good." He locked up quickly and left without his usual small talk. The following week, I noticed police cars in the parking lot when I arrived for my shift. The day manager pulled me aside and told me they'd found a body, a woman who'd been missing for 4 weeks. They'd identified her from dental records. "Where did they find her?" I asked, already knowing the answer somehow. "Storage unit, 344 inches, 2 units down from Kastner's." The police questioned everyone, including me. I told them about the regulars, mentioned Kastner. They took notes but didn't seem particularly interested. Said they had a suspect already, the woman's ex-boyfriend. A month passed. Things returned to normal. Then one night I was doing my 2 a.m. patrol when I noticed Unit 342's padlock was missing. Management hadn't mentioned renting it to someone new, and Kastner hadn't come by since the night I'd found him there. I called my manager, who checked the system and confirmed the unit should be locked. Nobody had accessed it for 37 days. Hesitantly, I raised the door. The unit was completely empty. Not a single box remained. The next day, detectives returned. They'd found evidence linking the murder to someone other than the ex-boyfriend they'd arrested. Fibers, DNA, something they wouldn't specify. They asked more detailed questions about Kastner this time. I told them everything, including the night I'd caught him with the open tub. They never found him. The address and credit card he'd used were fake. The security cameras had caught him coming and going for months, but the car had stolen plates. Sometimes I think about those storage tubs, all labeled by date. I wonder how many there were, and how many other storage facilities have units rented by polite, unmemorable men who only visit late at night.